everyone. This is Szilárd Széll, and I would like to introduce you the pipeline game. The pipeline game that we developed in Eficode to support and educate how to design actually a better pipeline. So today I will walk you through some of the slides and then show you a bit about the game itself, about the ideas behind. We will talk a bit about CI/CD. I will go through the card deck, most important cards, and then give you an idea like how to use it. And then we will go into an online game that you can actually play with your teams. So a bit of introduction. So I'm Szilárd Széll, a Hungarian living in Finland now for 6 long winters. And I'm focusing mostly on quality assurance. And this is why I'm very much interested in the CI/CD pipelines, because I believe that modern organizations should have all their testings connected inside or around your CI/CD pipeline. And I even say that your quality assurance strategy should be around your pipeline. So your pipeline should be the visualization of your QA strategy. And this is how you should communicate your QA strategy. What is a pipeline? If you would ask it, what is CI/CD actually? So the pipeline is actually helping us to have CI/CD in place. So continuous integration, continuous delivery. And if we would say like these are modern development practices, modern, right? I mean, it was modern few hundred years back. Now this is the expectation to have. The point of this is that they are binding together all the activities happening in the software production line. And I would say your pipeline is not only the tooling, your pipeline is also the people and processes and activities that you do to achieve the flow of value delivery from the ideation board to production, to the end users. The goal of the pipeline and the CI/CD is essentially to shorten time to market and to enable amplified feedback so we can react to the changes faster and react to anything in production as well faster. Also, the kind of side effect is that it provides reporting, visibility, and through that trust, confidence in the software development, in the flow, in the status, and in the readiness towards the end users, the readiness of value again delivered from the left to the right. Now, what is a typical pipeline? What belongs to the pipeline? If we look at this one, we see that when we talk about the pipeline, it's not only the continuous integration or delivery tool set. It really includes, if you look at it a bit from a broader view, it includes much more. It includes the requirement management systems or tooling and the processes as well. It includes, of course, all the development, code analysis, automated testing. Where I would stop for a second, I believe that we do automation so we can do more exploration. So automation gives us testers the time to do more exploratory testing. So the pipeline also, of course, includes the building the artifacts, moving to the next stage, to acceptance stage, and then if everything is successful, if we are in continuous deployment, then deploying into production. Of course, in this, we should also have proper telemetry and observability about our systems, how do they go, and even being able to changes as configuration, so utilizing infrastructure as code techniques to run our infrastructure, our platform as well. So the pipeline is, I would say, all of this. But when in the game we are talking about the pipeline, we are really focusing on mainly the development steps and also the acceptance steps up to deployment. So in the game, we are not focusing that much on the different monitoring, configuration, and server parts. So how do we design a pipeline? Well, I suppose we just sit down and code it, right? Abby just previously showed us all the magic of, for example, Backstage and how to reuse the components. Still, I believe this might not be the best. I mean, like what she showed is, of course, the best, but sitting down and coding is maybe not the way to design a pipeline. I suppose coming together with your team, working together, it is the best way to have a common understanding and a high-level view. But does it mean that we have now multiple people coding our pipeline together, or does it mean we need an abstraction layer above that? So at least based on several tutorials which I ran, I've seen that it is much better to gamify the pipeline design. And this is also what Emily Betch did when she designed this pipeline card game. This card game is actually to educate the concepts within the CI/CD pipeline and also helping teams to design the pipeline together, to sit together, come together, and build something which is understood by everyone. Also, it is much easier to change the pipeline when it's just a set of cards than when you have it already coded. So, what can we do now? Now we have this game. What shall we do with it? What is the content of this card game? How does it look like? So this card game, this card deck, actually consists of 3 types of cards. One is the scenarios, which the teams can utilize if, for example, we have conference. I'm running this show on conferences. So if there are people who never met before, it's easier to have a common scenario to start building the application around, or the CI/CD pipeline around. And these scenarios helps in certain ways to get us on the same level. Now, there are also game rules. Now, when we say game rules, these are actually rules on how to design a proper pipeline. I will go into both of these deeper and we'll tell you about this. And we can discuss a bit that what does it mean, certain rules to design the pipeline. Now, of course, the pipeline game consists of a lot of pipeline steps as well, right? So this is actually things like code is merged to trunk or deploy a production-like test environment, etc. We have multiple of these. We are actually adding and updating these cards regularly. So I think we are now at the version 5 of the card deck. We are always adding new things based on feedback and ideas. So let me deep dive into these cards. So what the scenario cards look like and how do they help us? So first of all, it gives a little bit of overview of what is the application we are building. So it talks about the users, what they want to achieve. It talks about the kind of business. So this is a social media online application where the users want to create and share links to articles about current affairs with comments. Users also want to search for current affairs, stories, to view articles and comments on them. Now, advertisers pay to promote their articles in the search results, and the searches also must be fast and the interface must look attractive. So we see a few functional requirements. We see setting, the stage, the context where we work. We also see some non-functional requirements for this scenario. This will be important later, right? These are the aspects that we need to make sure that our pipeline covers. Also, there's the last sentence about the competition, which is mainly focusing on what's the speed of the competition. Here, their deployment lead time is 2 days. So this is what we need to target for. We need to beat the 2 days deployment time of the competition. It also states that it's a monolithic PHP application, so maybe we should, in theory, figure out something better, something else to use. Now, if we move on to the game rules, what are the game rules and how to play them? How to design the pipeline game? So I would say that the first important game rule is that sets the start at the end of the pipeline. This is like parentheses, right? So these are in the beginning, at the end. I always say that you should actually start designing and actually implementing your pipeline with these two steps. Whenever a developer commits the code, it gets in immediately to production. Right? This is exactly what everyone wants. You do the code commit and it goes to production. No testing, nothing at all. This is the fastest way. This is where the value is. Well, maybe we should be a bit more careful. Maybe we should fill in the steps in between still to make sure that if there's any mistake or any fault in our code, then we can capture them still without deploying them to production. So, as said, we start with the developer commits code. It doesn't mean we cannot have cards before this, but they does not count to our lead time, because the lead time is counted from the commit into getting into production. So we can place cards before and we can even place cards after that. What does it mean? We can actually continue testing after we went into production if we know that we are fast enough to react when there's a problem found. For example, I would say usability type of tests could go into that direction. Okay, so step ordering constraints, the next game rule here. Before we go to production, before we deploy to production, we need to create a build release candidate. So that's like a package, right? That is something that we are delivering into production. But that one should come from the master, not from a branch. So that means that the code should be merged to the trunk before we release to production. It doesn't mean you cannot, release to test environment from a branch, but the version that goes to production must come from the trunk. So this is the trunk-based development, which we expect to be as much in place as possible, or master. Now, there's another, actually not rule, but more like an addition, that we can put on the cards the time it takes to run it. And of course, this is just like an estimation. So how long we think it would take to run unit test, for example, 10 minutes. Also, there are free cards or empty cards, which we can utilize to add additional steps if we believe that something is missing from our pipeline deck. Coming back to the rules or the designs, we have another one. Whenever we have a system test step, we need to have an environment before that where we deploy the software to be tested. So system environments doesn't just hang around here. We need to have a deployment step before them as well. Now, before any deployment step, again, we need to create a package. We need to have a step which is marked as packaging step. For example, we have build release candidate, or we have this build snapshot version type of cards, which are used to generate some builds. As you see, the snapshot version is not something that you expect to end up in production. So this could be, for example, a build created from your branch, not from your master. But the release candidate, as said, that should come from the master. All right, so these are the basic rules. We don't really, have complicated rules on how to design. So this is how to set up the stage. So we have scenario and we have a few rules. Great. So we are almost there. But you might ask, what do I do if I don't have the cards at hand, or if my team is actually working remotely? Now, this is where our free and online pipeline game comes handy, which I will demonstrate just in a second. So you just simply register, create the game, and you invite others to join your game. And in that, we can actually, you can involve your team in a digital game field. Now, I would also go a bit further, but okay, what if you know this game? What's next? And I just want to say that I created another workshop, which I'm running now around the world on different conferences, which is combining another card, the TestSphere card from the Ministry of Testing, originally created by Baron and Art Kramen. And this card deck is having another additional view on testing, which could be added to the pipeline game. When we play that one digitally, and this is just a mirror copy, you can see that some extra information is here, very tiny maybe on your screen, but these are actually quality characteristics that you can also add to your pipeline game. But you can do this with sticky notes as well, right? So what are the things, the quality aspects that you are covering in your pipeline? All right. Before I say thank you, I should rather show you the game now. But before going there, I would rather show you two more pages. So first of all, the blog, the original blog from Emily, where she describes the game, and I will have the links in the material for this one. And this is kind of walking you through how to play with the game and what to do. So this should help you and help anyone to facilitate the game. And also we have another page where actually from where you can start and play the game. And if you want to get your hands on the original version or the card game, so you want to play it in your teams, you can actually order them somewhere down here on the page. Here, yes, at the end of this one. Anyway, idea is that this game is proven to be useful. Teams appreciate that a lot, and we even got not only appreciation from teams but also from the DASA organization. So we got DASA DevOps Learning Solution Excellence Award. All right. So what's next? If I would push the play for free button, I need to then fill in a bit of a registration form, but then we get onto this page, which is the game page. We have the floating cards around beautifully. And of course, when you push the how to play button, you get to the same blogs and to the same descriptions. Now, let us create a game. And when we create a game, it starts with selecting the actual scenario. So which scenario should we create? Find maybe the social media online application is perfectly fine. If you don't like this or you want to play your own team scenarios, you can, of course, create your own. And with that, defining all the circumstances and all the statements for your own word. Now let's start the game. This is creating the board. And as you see, this is like really as simple as just a table, a whiteboard. We have the cards on the side, and then you just drop them here. So no connection, no extra things there. So how would we start? Let's developer commits the code and put it here. And as you see, all the cards have a little bit of a description. So this is why I said this is a very good way to educate the concepts of CI/CD and educate the teams on what are the different steps that you need to put into your pipeline. So you see, this is a manual step, and this is also a delivery step. So developers share their code by pushing a commit or initiate a pull request. Maybe it's time to update this to version control such as Git. If you include steps before this, they do not count toward your deployment lead time. So again, the warning there. All right, so what should we do? Now we have code commit. What should be next? Maybe I would say let's add the unit testing as a next step. Tests written by developers are running against all the individual classes and modules. So this looks like a good step. But after some unit tests, let's see what do we need more again? And I would say not even after, but let's run these things parallel. Probably these are actually very fast, so why not to have them in parallel? Static code analysis. Run a tool on the source code that measures complexity, class and method size, and at dependencies, assess whether measured values are acceptable compared to the standard. Well, this seems to be fine. Typically, what we have as well is a step for code review, right? Now we say it's a test step, and yes, this is a static test step, which helps the team to review the code, to learn from each other, and also to give a kind of feedback from the team, helping to find issues already on this level. Now, as you see, I put unit testing and static code analysis before the code review. So why would we waste time reviewing a code that doesn't pass the unit tests? Or why would we waste time on reviewing a code that is too complex? So I really would suggest to do this way. We have these before code review. Of course, you might again say that, hey, why don't I have unit test and static code analysis before I commit the code? Okay, let's do that way. Easy to change the design before we actually start typing any piece of code. Now, there's a lot of different discussions on should we start merging the code immediately. As a person coming with a lot of background in quality and testing, I don't see that this is good enough yet to merge, right? So I would like to see that we have some kind of testing first. So let's see what kind of test we could do here. So first of all, maybe we need to create now a snapshot version. And then we need to put that snapshot version to some of our environments. And then I will come back to those cards in a moment. So let me deploy on a build agent. Why a build agent? Let's say this is like a very internal mock integration environment where some of my services, external services, might be mocked out. Let's do some testing, low-level testing here, for example, component testing, right? So let us run the component test here. Oops, now this is... Okay. Well, what can we do at the same time? Maybe let's run some contract testing as well. So against APIs, let's run contract tests. That could run in parallel. Maybe actually that means we would need another build agent. Maybe this is now fine just to represent what we do. All right. By the way, now anyone could say like, hey, what are these cards? What is lint here? Should actually we put linting also to before the code is committed? Yeah, let's do that. Why not? So let's move it to the left and let's move it before this step. Oh, by the way, we have static application security testing here. Should we actually start security testing analyzing source code? Oh, yeah, we should. Let's move that here as well. Oh, we just did a lot of shift left. We started to capture security issues already before committing the code, before actually starting any kind of dynamic testing. I like that. I like shift left. All right, we had a bit of contract testing. Well, are we happy now? Shall we already deploy to or merge the trunk? Maybe not. Maybe still let's have some kind of other testing. Or you know what? I just say that let's now go to trunk. We can change that later on as the organization learns about how well our tests, low-level tests, are capturing problems. Maybe to be more sure, we could add also some kind of third-party integration testing before merging to the trunk. All right, automated functional testing. I like it. Let's drop it there. Oh, wait, where do we do that? We need an environment. You remember we had the rule that we need to have an environment deployed before we go anywhere. Okay, so where is the environment? Let me deploy to production environment, production-like test environment. Oh, wait, if we deploy to production-like, I need a release candidate. Okay, so let's create a release candidate before that. So now code is merged, we have a release candidate, we deploy one environment, and we start an automated functional test. Fine, looks really great, but do we want to do all the testing sequential? Well, maybe not. So I think we should at least do automated load testing and security and penetration testing. And let's run them in parallel. And as you see, now we need extra environments. So let's deploy extra environments. And actually what I realized that maybe we should do a bit of, especially before load testing, we should do a bit of extra check. I would say add deployment health check before we start a very expensive automated load testing. And now I ran out of cards, but actually we should have most of these. Now again, the team members could say like, hey, why do we have this automated smoke test? Should we actually start with the smoke test first? Okay, let's add smoke test first here and only then start the automated functional test. Well, it seems that I ran out of space. Is that because I should actually go more to the left? Is it actually telling me that I should have a shorter pipeline? Maybe yes. But if we go into this one and then, let's at the point of this one decide that we should go with the release note. Okay, now I have actually run out of the pipeline a bit. So let's imagine I just go forward and get to the next step. Demo effect. Or I just move these a bit to the left. So really just like how would you do on a table. I think I should have some automated UI test as well. Why not? We could drop the testing as we want. And as you see, we don't need to actually do all the different steps. We can decide which one we use. Now, I think we have enough testing here. Let's go to production. What do we need there? Well, I think we need to have a decision. Are we going or not going to production? Oops, let me see. Can I drop it? No. Can I drop it now? Yes. So, first of all, let's have a decision of go, no go. If we did that, let's have a release version. And when we decided on that, we can actually generate a release note as well. And after we had the release note, we might say that, all right, let's get to a deployment to the production environment. Now you might say like, okay, why do we have still many tests? We should have done user acceptance testing before. Might be true. But if you listen, for example, the Spotify talking about A/B testing, we could also say like, why don't we have a bit of user acceptance testing in production utilizing A/B testing? Or why don't we have usability testing in production utilizing the feedback from the application in the application store? So what the people say, is that usable? Is it not usable? So actually, as you see, that we could easily design the game. And what I've seen on conferences that people are educating and teaching each other a lot. When you have these cards are enough to understand what to do. There's a question in the Q&A, like, are there instructions and process steps included in the game for beginners? So as I stated, the basic things in the game are the scenarios, the scenario cards, which is giving really just an idea. But the game rules are the ones that are giving you a bit of a concepts of how to design your pipeline. So these are more like really game rules or design rules for your pipeline. I would say start with this, and when you are expert in designing the pipeline, you can start breaking the rules as well. If you play the game, you will have the description for these pages. So in the game, you have the link to these pages. And actually on this blog, as I mentioned, there's quite a lot of description, more description of how to run the game, the card game, the cards, some of the rules, and a bit of understanding of what to do. Notes for facilitators as well. But of course, we are also happy to help you with running the game and running the show for you, helping the teams to learn together. Just coming back here. So at this stage, what you can also do is start the review. Oh, by the way, game rules are also here in the description. So we have the same kind of cards here. And if we go back to the game, at this point, we can trigger the review. And the review would mean that you initiate this review phase, which is to look how fast your pipeline is, how good it is, and to actually give a statement on that one. One thing I absolutely forgot to show you is that when we have the cards, you do a double click, and then you can put your 15 means estimation on top, so easily giving you an idea about how the oops, what did I do here? Now this is breaking in production, right? Okay, I just did that. Lovely. All right, so here, for example, this is like what? Go no decision. Go no decision. Well, this is need to be done by one of our managers, and he's not available just on every 2 weeks, because this is when we have the change control board. So let's say this takes like 14 days. Okay, I suppose you really don't want to see any step like that in your pipeline. But again, this is when, with the discussion, you can start challenging your behavior. And as I stated, pipeline is not only your design or the actual code that is running. Your pipeline is also the actual processes around that and how the people react to each other. All right. So when you trigger the review, this is actually just to tell to everyone that, okay, now we want to see how the things go, and then all the participants can go through and look into the scenarios, and you talk it through. So there is not much magic there. This is more like facilitation. Now, with that, I just wanted to say thank you so much, and wanted to show the very last slide. So this will be shared. There are further readings. So actually on the blogs, the 2 lines are for the pipeline game, and we have another gamified solution, which is the Lego for DevOps game, which is also supporting teams to learn how to build the culture of DevOps. And this is the best way to learn with the gamification, when you have a dev and ops team starting together, playing with Lego, and then they have the chances to learn how to move from there to the common team, etc., etc. All right, if you want to see more from me, just scan the QR code. That's my personal Eficode page, and I'm happy to help you in anything.